Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Unfiltered Tea Time by Little Dagger Aesthetics. For those of y'all that don't know, my name's Michelle. I am the CEO slash founder, and my pronouns are she, they. Today, we will be discussing drugs and alcohol because I don't know, because it was a topic that got added in. So if y'all would like to do your little intros, you just name, pronouns if you got some, and a super cool fact about yourself.
Hi, my name is Clara. My pronouns are she, they. And, a cool fact about me. I'm always bad at these. I play 7 different musical instruments. Ooh.
Damn.
Oh,
What are they? I need to know.
Okay, I play the trumpet, the euphonium, the guitar, the stand-up bass, the electric bass, the drums, and the piano.
Jeez, a lot of talent over here.
Thank
um,
you.
my name's Matt, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm always so scared of fucking it up. I'm not used to saying my pronouns. I have to rehearse it in my head. And I actually used to play the drums in Tiffany. And a fun fact about me is, I recently got a new tattoo of some dice in a shot glass. So yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, very, very nice. All right. Like I mentioned, for this episode, we're going to be discussing drugs and alcohol because we are not good kids. So the first question to discuss is, what is your general approach to drugs and alcohol? Did your upbringing or life experience affect the way you think about these things?
Should I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. What's my approach on them? I mean, do them if you want. I'll try everything once, but um, I don't know. I tend to try things first in moderation. So
Mm.
so like if you're trying a new drug first, or if you're trying alcohol for the first time, like go slow. Don't jump all the way in and then need to get your stomach pumped. Um, and I also think like how I grew up definitely affected that because um my parents are definitely like very severely anti-drug.
Mm.
And like even now that weed is legal in Canada, like they're still against it. And I'm like, cool. I don't know. I feel like it's given it sort of more of like a secretive vibe in my mind.
Mm.
Anyway, that's me.
Okay. So my general approach to drugs and alcohol has always been the same. Yeah, alcohol I think is very light for me. I'm drinking now. I've drank I think every time that I've been on a show on the podcast. Drugs for me is a little bit iffy. Because I feel like uh specific things make me like have a panic attack easy.
Mm.
So drugs I kind of stay away with. Not all, but some of them. Um, my upbringing really affect the way that I see at least alcohol. I've always been very close to addiction with different partners I've had in life and one of my parents. So my upbringing definitely affected how I've seen alcohol. I don't think in a negative way, but what it could do if you have like an addictive type of personality, I guess.
Mm.
I definitely
No,
get
that's
that
that's
one.
totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up around that type of stuff too. And it's like, well, okay, you know, stay within reasonable boundaries.
Mm. I definitely feel that. I think my approach, like when I was younger, I remember I was like 12 or 13. I was definitely that person that's like, I'm never gonna have a drink in my life, and I'm never gonna do drugs because they're all bad. And I was like very like after school special. And then I had my first drink when I was like 14. That's like a whole ass year after. And I was like, oh, like I got tipsy, but I didn't get like drunk my first time. And I was like, oh, okay. So like it didn't really change, how much fun I had. It was just like, oh, that tastes nice and it's cool, whatever. Um so my approach changed from like, never do these things to like, if you're in a safe area, if you're with people that you trust, if you are careful and, like understand your personal limits and how you react, like it's fine. Um, Definitely relating to having a parent that went through addiction, probably still is going through. I don't know. I don't talk to my parents anymore. Um, the life experience too is like where I grew up, it was such a common thing for people to just like do drugs no matter what it was, literally anywhere. Like people were constantly getting arrested because they just like did it in the street. um so I think I became like kind of desensitized to it, where it's like not in the way where it's like, oh, I don't care if people are going through addiction, but rather in the way where like if someone tells me like it's so shocking, like the other day, like I tried like Molly, for example. Like I had a friend tell me like I tried Molly and it was like so crazy. Like I hear that and I'm like, is it though? Like it's just a drug. Like I don't know, I have like a very weird uh like casual approach now.
That's definitely valid. I feel like I've gotten much more like that recently. When I was a kid, I was very sheltered in that regard. And so, like, having my first drink, I always tell people this story because I was like 16 years old and I was at this party with friends and I basically fill up a glass with lemonade and then put in like half a shot of vodka. And I take 2 sips and I'm like, guys, I think I'm drunk.
I think we've all done that. As soon as we like started drinking, we're just like, "Oh, I'm totally smashed," and it's like, "No, we're not."
Yeah, so like coming from that as my first experience and now being like, I don't know, I wouldn't call myself like a junkie, but I'm definitely more experienced in the drug field, I suppose. So I think it's changed a lot in that regard.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. So the next question is, do you know your personal limits and how did you go about finding them?
Uh, I found them by drinking way too much, and that's a bad idea. Don't do that. Um, yeah, I feel like I treated alcohol very differently from how I'm treating other substances now. Is that
Mm,
like alcohol when I was starting out, it was like, okay, this is the cool thing to do. I'm gonna drink a shit ton and throw up, and then it's gonna be great.
mm,
Um, Turns out it wasn't great. But now with other substances, I'm like, okay, I'll start slow, get myself used to this, get myself in like a good setting, and set myself up so that I'm gonna have a good experience, and then go into it slowly as opposed to just jumping into the deep end.
yeah.
So for me, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm very much like my dad, where um I could go overboard too quickly. I don't think I really have a personal limit because I think my body really affects the way how I get drunk. Like, if I haven't really eaten anything that day, that's everybody, but I think it affects me more. Like, if I haven't eaten anything for the day, I'm gonna get so drunk so quickly. But then
Mm,
there's other times where, like, even Michelle, when we
mm,
went to the bar, I had like 13 drinks, and I was
mm,
fine, like the entire time. Um, I do have to say though that like I find that I'm very easy to sober up very quickly. Like when I noticed that Zoe was sick, the entire time we were home, it was like I was sober, but as soon as she was like in bed safe, I went back to being really
mm.
hammered. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know if I know my personal limits yet.
That's fair, especially if you're the kind of person where like if even if you're like completely hammered and suddenly something needs your attention and you're able to like flip back, it can be hard to tell like, oh wait, like am I good? Am I solid? Can I drink more? Because like
Yeah.
I think it's just like the responsibility outweighs everything in that moment, so you just suddenly feel like, oh, I'm good. Like
Yeah, I think there's a big difference too between like that and actually sobering up. Like,
mm,
I think in situations where you're like forced to act and like take you out of that situation, or out of that sort of mindset, it does feel sobering, but then you get further into it and like your reaction times are shit, and like it feels like you're sober, but you're very much not, to the point where you could do all of the activities that a sober person is required to do in daily life. You know?
Right, yeah. But like I'm able to basically play doctor with anybody else is what I kind of
Mhm.
meant. You know, I'm able to sober up enough that I'm like, okay, this person needs my attention or help. I'm able to do that, and then once they're good, then I could go back to like I don't know, being drunk again. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah. Oh,
For sure.
okay. Personal limits. Okay, so okay. Weirdly enough, I don't think I've ever been like addicted to drugs per se. Like I've probably tried every drug out there except for things that require a needle. Um, I very much like I draw the line at needles. I can't do it. I
Sure.
can't even like if I go to like donate blood or like I have to do a blood test, I can't look at the needle in my arm. So I definitely like that's my limit for that. When it came to alcohol, I honestly I was wilding out. Like I drank before I came to Ottawa. Like in high school or a bit after high school, but when I got to Ottawa, I was finally in a place with like, oh, no parents, right? So I went through my little first year phase of constantly drinking, constantly partying, battled what I would say is like a mild case of addiction. Um I'm in no way someone that could be like an advocate for addiction due to personal experiences because I don't think I ever really went through it enough, if that makes sense. But I definitely tried my limits. Um, I definitely have a very, very high tolerance. I'm sure it has gone down now because of quarantine, and obviously I'm not out partying all the time. But I am known in the friend group just to have a crazy high tolerance for alcohol, and I don't know all my exact limits for like the different types of drugs, but I do know that I am a lot more careful with them. Just because like I've definitely even like greened out from weed, and that's just not a good time. Like if you get drunk enough and you pass out, like you black out and you pass out, you just go to sleep, you know? Like I don't know if it's the same for y'all, but like once I get to the point where I'm like blackout drunk, my brain just goes, "Let's go to bed." Like I'm done. Let's go to bed. So I know that it'll be fine. But for like when I greened out from weed, I thought I was honestly gonna die. Like I was yelling at my friends to like call the cops or like call 911
I've
because I
definitely
I
been there.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot. I don't know, more careful with the things other
I
than alcohol.
I don't know about you, but to me it really goes to my heart and my breathing, and I get very fixated on it. And
Hmm.
that's when I'm like, oh, fuck, I need to go to the hospital. Wait, no, I don't. But I kind of do. Like, I don't know. It really affects like my heart and my like
I
experience.
definitely
Yeah.
get that. Alcohol is like more of a depressant, and so I definitely like tend towards falling asleep when I'm very drunk. But with
Hmm.
other drugs, it interacts sort of strangely with an anxiety disorder that I have, and so I depersonalize a lot when I'm like really high on different types of drugs.
Hmm.
Um, and that is definitely a more uncomfortable situation than being like very drunk and just like falling asleep.
Yeah. All right, friends. What's the funniest story you have involving alcohol or drugs? And you can tell more than one. If you got like your top three, you can go right ahead.
You can skip me on this one, and I'm gonna think about this.
When I was probably 17 or 16, I was out with my friends and we were smoking in the back of Walmart, like gentlemen, like all gentlemen do. And I got really high, and we were kind of in the forest near the Walmart, and I tripped and I couldn't find my shoe, and so I had to like just walk around with no shoe. And I remember like just being like, I'm tired of walking, so I just passed out on some guy's lawn for the
Oh
night.
no.
and I woke up and he was like kicking me with his shoe. He's like, "Hey, do you mind getting up?" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "No, it's fine. I'm just trying to finish my lawn." And this dude mowed his entire lawn around me. When I woke up, I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry.
Oh
It was
my
so
God.
embarrassing."
That's
That,
so funny. You didn't
that's
wake up while he
amazing.
was mowing his lawn?
If I'm asleep, nothing's gonna wake me up. It's just
Oh
simple
my
as that.
God. That's so funny.
I love
Ah,
that.
I've definitely never had that happen to me. My God.
Yeah.
Ah, I think like I don't even know if I want to say like closest, but like the one off the top of my head is like it was again first year. So I was constantly drinking, constantly partying. I went to a party that was near like oh, I don't even know. Someone drove me and my friends out to like Smiths Falls, and we were just like partying with randos there, and I got like blackout drunk, and I was like, I want to take a nap. You know that video, the girl that's like, I'm gonna take a nap right here, and she's like gonna cry. Like I swear that was me. And we were like somehow in a cornfield or some shit. And I just like I put down like I grabbed two of like the corn stalks and like shoved them down to make myself a bed. And then I said I'm gonna take a nap, just like right here. It's all good. Don't worry about me. And like one of my friends put their jacket on me, and then they went off to party, and like I still had my phone with me or whatever, so like, I could call them if I needed, but and they weren't far. Um, I just passed the fuck out. I woke up, and the next morning I was not at like the edge of the cornfield where they could see me. I was like deep in the cornfield. Like I don't know how the fuck I got there. I don't know if I woke up and walked over. I don't know if I just like rolled around in my sleep. I don't know what the fuck happened. Because like they would check my location like occasionally to see if I was still good. Some people come back like every like hour to see. But they all slept there, and like apparently they tried to wake me up at one point so that they could like bring me to the house so I could sleep inside, and I absolutely refused. Like I was like, no, I'm gonna sleep here. Like leave me alone. I like the corn. And then yeah, I woke up the next day and I had to find my way out of the cornfield, and then I was Ubered home.
It's amazing.
It
So
was
I
quite an
probably
adventure.
so this was the first time I tried shrooms.
Ooh.
Um, and so it wasn't like it was a pretty low dose. And I'm happy I did that first time because I've definitely heard horror stories of people's first trips.
Mm.
But so I remember like I don't know, this was maybe like 2 or 3 hours into the trip, and I went down to the bathroom because I had to go. Um, and I come out of it and I like stop halfway through the hallway and I walk back to the bathroom, and I just remember like feeling the urgent need to thank the bathroom for just being there for me. I don't know, it was very strange. I've never felt connected to a room in that way. So yeah, that was my weird experience.
Huh.
I love it. One of my favorite things ever is when drunk people just they either thank or show love to inanimate objects. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Like especially drunk girls. Like drunk girls are magical, okay? Like you be in a bathroom with them and they just like they compliment every single part of you. They're like, "Oh my god, like look at your hair, look at this." And they'll turn to random strangers, and then they'll turn to like pictures on the walls, or like they'll start complimenting the actual bathroom itself, and I just find it hilarious. Like, "Oh my
Hmm.
god." It's the purest thing ever.
Hmm. I agree.
I once had a drunk girl literally this was like I was at a party with this guy that I was kind of seeing, and he ended up like talking to this girl at the party, and like they were like teasing each other, and he ended up being like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask for her number," which was like fine because we were not exclusive by any means. But also like I already was in love with this guy, so I was like, "Oh my god." I chugged like half of my friend's like giant flask. Like I'm talking like this friend used to carry around a flask that was like the size of a binder, and I would like go and I just drank that like half of it or more, and I went outside and I was crying, and this drunk girl came up to me. I don't even know if she was from the party, I don't remember, but she came up to me and she was like, "You're so pretty, like you should never cry, like you deserve the world." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like thank you." And then she picked up like she ripped a blade of grass from the fucking lawn, and she comes up to me and she's like, "This is so pretty, but you're prettier." And then she gave it to me and she was like, "I just hope you have the best night ever and that you keep this grass to remind you that you're prettier than it, even though it is so pretty."
Okay.
And I was like, thank you. Like that means a lot. But like, just like what a magical moment. I went home that night and I wasn't even heartbroken. I was like, oh yeah, that guy is like, we're not even exclusive. It doesn't even matter because I'm as pretty or more than this grass.
Nice.
That is so wholesome. I love it.
But yeah. All right. Do y'all have another funny story or should we move on to next question?
I don't have anything.
Well, I'm good. Not that I can really think of anything right now.
All right. The next question is, what's one thing you regret in terms of alcohol or drugs? And this can even be like a story that you now find funny but was really bad in a situation, or it could be really bad, or it could be like, we can go into sad times. Totally your call.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I remember there was this one night in first year, and I was a little baby, because I came to university out of grade 11 in Quebec, because we don't have grade 12 there. And so I was this little like 17-year-old, and I was trying to impress everyone. And so this guy that I was seeing at the time invited me to a party in his dorm. And so I decided that it was a great idea to get completely shit-faced, because that would be impressive somehow. And so I had way too much to drink, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Mickey's worth of alcohol of, 5 or 6 different types. And ended up throwing up in his bed.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't the most fun thing to wake up to. But yeah, definitely like overconsumption is one of the things that I regret.
So I'm pretty good with any drug I try, but about 3 years ago when I started doing edibles was when I started getting really bad panic attacks. There was this one time I used to take like THC pills to help me sleep, and they would actually like I would wake up a lot during the middle of the night, but they would just keep me like asleep. Anyways, there was this one time I took just 2 of them and I had like a full-blown panic attack. Like I was mentioning before, it just goes right to my heart and I think I can't breathe. My heart's pumping too fast, something's wrong. And I wasn't really aware of mental health at all, so I didn't know what a panic attack was. But anyways, like I was so panicked that entire night when I was high that when I finally did sleep and woke up, the panic attack continued for 3-4 days.
Oh
and
no.
I had no idea what the fuck it was. And my dad like knows nothing of this either, like of panic attacks. So when he was like, "What's wrong?" I simply started crying, and I was like, "I think I'm just going crazy." And that's what I legitimately thought. So I think that's probably one of the regrets I have is I just fucking hate edibles or like any capsules or anything like that.
Oh no, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That sucks.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I definitely know that like a lot of my friends are careful about edibles, and like I feel like I'm a little less careful because I just assume that my high tolerance extends to everything, which I probably
That's not how that
shouldn't.
works.
Yeah. But like definitely a lot of my friends like they're like, "Oh, I've had a bad experience with edibles, so like I'm careful." And I'm just like, "Okay, I'll take care of you and you'll be okay." But like for me, I'm just like, like oh.
And you know what I hate is like because I just straight up don't even smoke anymore just because like I'd
Mm,
rather be careful. I don't want to give myself like another experience like that, so why risk it, right?
mm.
And then every like stoner's like you just haven't tried the right strand. Bitch, I don't need to. I'm good. Stop saying that. That doesn't help anything.
Yeah. Oh man. The reactions that people have when someone doesn't want to try things that they're into is like it's actually so ridiculous sometimes. Ugh. I hate when people
Um,
are like, "Oh yeah, you had a bad experience. Well, it's because you did it wrong or because you didn't do this or because you're not as experienced as I am." And it's like that doesn't matter. Like
some
ah.
substances just interact differently with different people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ah. Um okay, regrets. Lots of regrets. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't have like a super lot of regrets. Like I've definitely had, like the drunk night where I've lied down on the floor outside and like, but I don't think I actually like regret any of those things. They just all become like funny memories. I think maybe the one time I do regret um was like this was Thanksgiving. Um, maybe like 3, 4 years ago. Honestly, quarantine has messed me up. I don't remember what time it is anymore. Um, but yeah, like 3, 4 years ago, I had an opening shift at the coffee shop that I worked at. I decided for some reason to invite people out to drinks that night. And I was like, oh, like I'll just call it early. Like I'll go home at like 12:30, I'll go to sleep, I'll wake up, I'll be a little hungover, but I'll be fine for work. Um, and I don't know what caused this, but I got to the bar and it was me, the guy that I was seeing at the time, or were we? Okay, I think we were dating by then, but like besides the point. Um, I remember we went to Pub 101 in Byward, which is great. Um, I had 2 beers, sangria, and then I just kept on ordering shots. And like, not that I'm here to, shame the server or bartender or whatever, but I'm pretty sure at one point, like, they should have stopped serving me because, like, I just kept on being like, a round of shots, another round of shots. Let's do more shots. I'm buying everyone's shots. But like 2 of my friends that were joining us that night weren't actually drinking. So there was like 5 people and I would order it and then I would take like 2 or 3 shots every time. So I was like drinking way, way, way too much. And then one of the friends was like, "Oh, do you want this like edible gummy, by the way?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they gave it to me. I took it. Um I ordered even more shots and then um I ended up going to the bathroom, and when I went to the bathroom, I tried to throw up, but I couldn't, and then I lied down on the floor. Maybe lying down on the floor is a bad move for me, but like I lied down
Lie
and I
down
just
where?
like on the bathroom floor.
Like at the bar?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Yeah, like I was like half in the stall, half not. I lied down and I was
Oh.
like, I just need to close my eyes and then I'll be good like after 5 minutes. Bro, I started like hyperventilating and my friends like were very concerned. They came out, they're like, oh my god, like Mishy's not good. Um the guy that I was seeing slash dating at the time had to come into the bathroom, like he had to announce himself and be like, I'm so sorry, I'm just coming in here because my girlfriend is on the floor. And then he had to call my manager. Bless my manager's heart. It's like fucking 2 a.m. and I'm supposed to be in work at 5:30 a.m. And this guy calls my manager. Is like, yeah, Michelle's about to go to the hospital, so she's not coming into work. And he's like, don't worry about it. I just hope she's okay. I will go into work to cover her. Like, honestly, one of the best managers I've ever worked with. Yeah, the ambulance was called. They put me on a gurney and carried me out of Pub 101.
Oh
And
no.
it's still funny to me now, but like I definitely do regret how the night went, because I definitely should have been more responsible, especially because I worked the next morning. But yeah, and then fun fact, when I woke up in the hospital, they had told me that there were traces of fentanyl on the gummy. Yeah. So I had to message my friend and be like, hey, like, were you okay? And she was like, I've bought from this like place or person. I don't even remember what it was. She's like, oh, like they like nothing bad has ever happened before, but like I also don't know where they source their gummies. And I was like, you don't know where they what? So yeah, it was a very interesting night. The guy that I was seeing at the time ended up paying the bill for me and him because I was hauled off to the hospital, and it was over $250. Yeah, which I paid him mostly back for, but like I don't know. I just think one, I definitely should not have done that, but also two, if someone's clearly intoxicated and you are a server, please don't continue to give them alcohol. Like, please cut them off.
So speaking about regrets, first of all, that one like order of shots that you have at the place where you work, Michelle, where it's like 3 or 4 different types of shots, that should not get a thing. I think that made me, Zoe, like sick because it's so much mixing.
Oh yeah.
I also regret that night when I was like carrying Zoe and then everything was falling out of her pocket, and so like I wanted to drop her to pick it up, and then we both kind of fell in front of like everyone that was like sitting down at the dining table like outside. That was so awkward.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to that girl you were with too for paying for all my drinks. Now that you mentioned about paying drinks, because she paid for the like entire night for me. I was so confused.
Oh yeah, no, she's such a sweetheart. Oh my god. It was a bit of a messy night, but honestly, I still like for the most part had fun. I was a little concerned at the end, but it was still a fun night. Oh man. We're just out here wilding.
Yep.
I think one of my other regrets, which the decision that led to the regret didn't have anything to do with drugs or alcohol, but I was staying over at a friend's one night, and it was in the winter, and Quebec has this weird law where in the winter you can't park on the street overnight because of snowplows passing and stuff. And so I parked my car outside of their house, and by the time I realized that I had to move it, I was fully like very high, and so my one regret is having to pay that parking ticket. Yeah,
that does suck. Oh man. All right,
can I ask a question because we're doing good on time?
Yeah.
So is it just me, or do you guys like when you're really drunk, do you instantly go and make yourself look like a fool in text? Because that's like I think that's what I do really often, and I want to know if everybody else does the same.
You Absolutely. Are literally preaching to the choir. I'm literally telling you, I tell everyone the one rule about Mishi drinking, okay, is even if I am not even like I'm barely tipsy, I can't type anymore. I can't. Like I take one sip of alcohol and my spelling goes out the window. And like people will like when they're texting me, they will think that I am way more drunk than I am because my spelling will be terrible. I'll add in random like symbols or something. and then I'll start saying random shit. Like I'll either start complimenting people, but like for really weird things, Or I'll just be really weird where I'm just like, oh, like this one time I texted someone and I said, your eyes are really pretty, but it said some shit that was like, your ears are pretty. And they were like,
Close
what?
enough.
And I was like, ease are fine. You're totally fine. That's cool. And they were like, I I don't know what you're saying to me right now. And I was like, listen, like I really admire the fact that you have blue eyes. Like that's beautiful. And they're like, thank you. And I was like, yeah, and your personality is pretty okay too.
Wow.
It was so bad because they were just like, "Thank you." Like, are you drunk? And I was like, "No." And they were like, "You're drunk." And then I had to read it the next day, and I was like, "That was at 9 p.m." I was like, "I'm telling you, I had like a glass of wine." And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "I was not drunk. I swear on my life, I was like, I was drunk by like 1 a.m. But like alcohol in my tongue, my hands don't work anymore."
Obviously, like you're with somebody, so probably not now. But do you instantly head for the X's or not?
Um, weirdly enough, not really. Like when I was dealing with an abusive relationship, I definitely texted him a couple times when I was drunk, like when after we broke up. Um, and then I when I was seeing the like my most recent ex, I definitely messaged him a couple times and told him that I missed him and loved him. But he's such a good guy. He dealt with it. He was like, yeah, I love and miss you too, but we're not together anymore. So like we should talk when you're sober. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. You're amazing. uh, I think it's mostly just like I think I drunk text my friends more than my exes because like I even had that like very recently. I got really drunk and I just like at everyone one by one in the bigger Discord server that I have, and sent them compliments. So it was wholesome, but it was also like really weird timing because everyone was awake and was like, "What is going on?"
I respect that he did that. Like he just kind of said like message me when you're sober.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a lot of times, especially in my teenage years, where I played doctor a lot.
Mm.
Most of the time, like I always do this thing where I wait too long to start drinking, and then I'm like, oh, everybody's drunk, and I gotta play doctor. And there's been many times where somebody's like, I'm playing doctor, and they're like, we should have sex, and I've always said like, if you feel the same way when you're sober, sure, but there's absolutely no way I'm gonna have sex with you when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I completely forget what it was.
I'm sorry, I just kept going on. My bad.
No, that's okay. What was the question again? I feel like I hadn't actually response to the
We were
question.
talking about like who you text when you're drunk, or do you start text
Right.
venting,
Okay. Yes. I
exes,
get like
whatever.
very deeply personal with like people that I have no right to be personal with.
Okay.
So like I was out a few nights ago with some friends that are like very surface level friends. Like we talk and we've been friends for a long time, but I don't like tell them about my emotions and stuff. And then on the car ride home, I went on like a deep dive into like, hey guys, this is my entire spiritual journey for the last year, and like, please love me. And so yeah, I don't know, my boundaries sort of dissolve when I'm that intoxicated. And
Honestly, I kind of love people like that though. Like not that I would encourage you to like go spill your deepest darkest secrets out to like a stranger, but I love when people tell me about like their lives, whether it's something that like they're struggling with or like, they just want to tell someone something. Because then it's like, especially if like I don't know if you have like, other outlets or close friends and all that, but like sometimes people just like don't have an outlet for that stuff. So when they get drunk, like they just like they're like, "Oh, I can trust you," and then they'll tell you, and it makes me feel special. I'm just like, "Yes, yes, you can trust me."
Yeah, I definitely do that a lot. I tend to like just, I don't know, I'll get drunk and then everyone in the room is my best friend.
I definitely could feel that as well. I feel like as somebody who again grew up with a functioning alcoholic as a parent, like you're always kind of worried about you following the same footsteps. So I talk a lot about it when I'm drunk, and I get kind of nervous about it. So I definitely appreciate like support when I do get to that stage where I start talking about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We just all gotta hang out and just get super drunk and support each other.
Yeah.
It'll
Sounds
be
lovely.
very, very wholesome. All right. Where I lost where I was in this outline.
Do you believe
Just
more
finish
drugs
your
should be legal?
Yes. Okay. So do y'all believe more drugs should be legal?
yes. And with a caveat. I think that um like again, your boundary thing with like everything that's not a needle. I think a lot of issues could be solved by I don't know, just legalizing things that people are already going to do and thus like making it easier to find clean versions of that. Like nowadays you go on the market for I don't know, whatever drug X drug you want that's not legal. And it's like you don't know where it's coming from, you don't know if the person has laced it with something, blah 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 blah. But as soon as you can legal it, you can put in sort of boundaries on it that can be regulated.
Yeah.
And I think we see that a lot with like the weed industry. Like first time I smoked, it was laced with LSD, and like my friend was swearing to me that gravity was coming from the wall. Um, but like nowadays, you go to a dispensary and it's like, yeah, you know where this is coming from. You know that it's all 100% what's on the label, and I think that's very helpful.
Yep.
So I'm the polar opposite, and therefore, Michelle, could you go first because I kind of want to explain myself early.
Sure. I mean, honestly, like Clara said most of what I was gonna say, which is just like I think that I don't know about like all drugs because I don't even think I know all of the drugs that exist out there. Like there's a shit ton. But definitely just like things that are common or able to be legalized, I think should be because of the safety aspect and also like to expand on what she said is what once you have the legalization aspect, you also have more of an education aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like now you can literally pick up a pamphlet about weed that's like, hey, like this is how this might interact with you. This is how this. Where like years ago you couldn't do that. It was just like don't do it, right? So the more access to education you have about something, the more you can like experiment while being as safe as possible. The downside that I could see is like when people are managing their addictions, it's hard to do so within like government programs. So those
I
things would need to
100% agree with
be
that.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
like those things would need to be fixed in order to, you know, not only make things safer for people that are just experimenting, but people that are also going through addiction. But I think in like a general overlook, it would be better for things to be legalized.
Yeah. Like what you were saying with education and stuff, I view it a lot as the same way that I view like sex ed and stuff, in that like if you're going to preach abstinence or preach people not taking drugs or whatever, they're going to do it anyways. So you might as well teach them how to do it in a safe way.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think more drugs should be legal. From an emotional / bias point, obviously, I've been around addiction a lot my whole life. I feel like, that's probably one of the reasons. But at the same time, like, I don't want kids to grow up in a future where they have access to this type of things. I don't think it should be normalized for children to see this and be like, okay, well, if it's legal, it should be fine. Because I don't think that all drugs are fine. I'm not saying that you're a bad person for doing them. I'm just saying that I don't think all of them are okay. But
no, that's fair.
I do agree with you, Michelle, in the fact that education is obviously important. If you educate yourself on anything, then anything is really manageable. I also agree that government programs for, let's say, rehabilitations are absolutely disgustingly underfunded. And I've done a lot of research on rehabs. When my father, I asked him to go to rehab, he did not fight me on it at all. And it took me a while to find one that I thought was right for him. He's a functioning alcoholic. He works every day. He just has his own demons, right? But he's a functioning member of society. And I refused to put him in a government program where I felt like he was just going to go to prison. He did not deserve that. And every other type of rehab is insanely overpriced to the fact that most people cannot afford it.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with what you said there. But no, I don't think more drugs should be legal.
No, that's fair. It's also like when you start thinking about, the legalization, right? There's no one size fits all of like how to regulate these things for every person. So like, I still stand by what I said. I do think that it would be better in general to legalize things, but maybe not even like right now, right? Like there's so much like what if, or like not enough people know. There's no way to measure how each and every single drug is going to affect each and every single person. So it's a bit of a complicated thing to even like put on the table.
I definitely, I think I also err on the side of, there's a lot of like medical studies that have been going into the use of other drugs like psychedelics and stuff like that, that I think on a prescription basis could be very good for some people if you like have a doctor monitoring your process and like that this thing is going to be good for you. I think that is good to use.
People who
Oh.
Oops.
Oh. I think we lost his mic for a little bit.
Hello?
Okay, yeah, you're
okay,
back.
but no, I was gonna say people who do shrooms are so protective. Shrooms are like, it's not a drug, it's medicine. I'm like, all right.
Oh no, it's absolutely a drug. I'm not saying it's not at all.
No, I think it's funny when they say that though.
Yeah.
All right. So we got like 12, 13 minutes within the hour. So I'm going to move on to the next question. And it is, what's a piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to try alcohol or drugs?
Start slow. Don't go overboard. And try to do it in a good like set and setting. Like be around people that you like and be in a space that's going to give you a good experience.
Yeah.
I'm gonna combine this with the last question of any words of wisdom because I feel like this is very important. We could say it a million times, but that doesn't change the fact that obviously moderation is important, and we're all going to agree on that, and we're all going to say that it's important, but it really is. But I think one of the biggest things about trying different drugs or alcohol is you will find out who your actual friends are.
That's very, very fair.
Are they going to laugh when you're having a really bad time, or are they actually going to give a fuck and take care of you when you're not feeling well? So I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, that's very fair. Definitely like that actually reminds me, like one of my friends, she's such a sweetheart. She went through like a bit of a messy phase, maybe like 2 years ago. And it was just like every time we would go out, she would get like really hammered. She'd end up throwing up in bathrooms. She would end up like at one point we were in an Uber and we had to pull over so that she could throw up out of it. And at one point she was at my house and it was me, this guy that I invited from Tinder, and her. And it was the funniest thing because like okay, I felt really bad for her because like she's going to do her stuff, but she ended up calling her roommate and she was like, "Oh, like my roommate's going to come and pick me up. I'm so sorry that I'm always a mess." And what I found funny was like before I could even reassure her and be like, "Hey, no, it's okay," because like I literally do not mind taking care of literally anyone. Um this guy who this was like my first time ever meeting him, his first time ever meeting any of my friends. He's like, "Listen, it's okay. Like, clearly, you're going through something and life is shitty, but you're gonna be okay. And we are here for you. And I will do everything in my power to just like make sure that, you know, you have water, you get home safe, you have emotional support." And I was just like, who is this? Like, I was like, who's this man's in my house that's being so sweet? What? And like, it was the funniest thing. And like, she started crying, and he was like hugging her, and he's like, "It's gonna be okay. Like, we're both here for you." And I was like, oh my god, I was like, I might have to keep this man around. Like, uh, but yeah, I just think I don't know. I find it so sad when like someone, you know, when they're drunk especially is saying, "Oh, like I'm so sorry that like I'm such a hassle or you have to deal with me," because it's like I've never viewed someone that has gotten messy drunk as like a hassle or like, ugh, now I have to take care of
No,
you.
it
No.
happens to all of us.
Yeah. So it's like I hate when people feel like terrible about it because you know at one point like someone said something to them and
I
that's why like they feel that
yeah.
way.
I honestly hate when people apologize when they're like that. It's just like if you want to apologize once in the morning, say like, "Hey, sorry, I went overboard." That's it. That's all I need. You don't need to feel bad about it. You don't need to have any worry about anything besides you already apologized. Cool.
Mhm. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're pretty good on time to close up. We do have one more question. And it is, what do you think about people who do not drink or do drugs and or plan to stay sober their whole lives?
More power to them. Yeah, I'm not ever going to force someone to do something they don't want to do. And if that's what you want to do, then good for you.
I don't know. It's kind of a hard question because, I mean, I kind of envy them in a way. I feel like some people use those type of things, and I'm not saying all, but some people definitely use it as an escape, and they just are so comfortable with themselves that they don't need to alter how they feel using any type of substance. I think there's power in that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, like I don't judge anyone that, you know, doesn't want to drink, doesn't want to do drugs. Like my best friend's boyfriend has not like I don't think he's drank besides one time, which was recently where he's like, "Oh, I might try it," and he didn't even get drunk. He was like, I don't know, it's a social thing." My only fear for this is that like I've never pursued anything further than a friendship with someone that doesn't drink, because I'm afraid that they'll judge me. And it might even be an irrational fear, but I've definitely like I've been on dating apps and they've been like, "Oh, how much do you drink?" And I've been like, "Oh, like I don't drink like on my own very much, but like if I'm at a party, like I drink a lot because I have a high tolerance and I like to drink." And I've definitely gotten responses that are like, "Oh," or like, like maybe I need to rethink like going out with you because I don't drink. And I'm like, you don't have to. Like it's not a requirement. It's just like, if I'm not judging you, please don't judge me. But like most of the time they're kind of judgy about it. So,
Yeah, I could agree with that. I maybe I should stay quiet. I'm gonna stay quiet.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think like if I'm not going to judge you, then don't judge me back, And if this is the type of life that I'm leading, and if I'm, taking substances at my own leisure, I'm not going to judge you for not doing that, but don't judge me for doing that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. It's unfiltered, and Michelle, you're gonna get mad at me, but I would think that if somebody, let's say, like smoked every day, I would find that a turn off. To be honest.
I mean, okay, so the way that you're phrasing it though is like a turn off instead of like, oh, I would be like, like judgy or angry with them. You know what I mean? So like I'm not disagreeing with you. Like my best friend again, like she specifically had told me that she wanted to find someone who does not drink or smoke, or if they do, like they don't do it every day. And that kind of comes from like, her battling her memories of her parent going through addiction. So it's totally fine to want someone that doesn't smoke every day or is a bit more conservative with that kind of stuff. I just think that like I wouldn't like, I don't know, if I saw someone being messy, my first thought would not be like, oh, I would never want to be with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like a lifestyle difference. I mean, no matter what it is, like when you're talking about like being in a relationship with someone, if you have a very drastic difference in lifestyles when it comes to a certain, I don't know, topic, then that's going to be an issue regardless of what that topic is.
All right. So we've got like 3 minutes to close this, which is like no pressure. If you take more than that, it's totally fine. But I think I'm gonna combine the very, very last one, which is any words of wisdom, as well as like final statements, closing remarks, just anything you guys want to say to tie up the episode.
Words of wisdom. I feel like I sort of went over this in my piece of advice. Like, start slow if you're gonna do anything, and do lots of research. Like, know what you're putting in your body and what effects it can have on you. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound like one of those cheesy '90s films that they showed the kids on like drug and safety and stuff like that. But it's way cooler to be safe and comfortable on what you're doing than just to try it and something could go bad. It's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there definitely needs to be like, I don't know, less people spreading the message that like having experience with drugs, alcohol, like whatever is cool, like I never had a friend tell me that they thought I was cooler because I drink a lot. I've never had someone tell me, "Oh, you're so cool because you've tried drugs." Like that's not really a thing. So like if anyone is out there that is like, in order to be cool, I need to try this drug or these drinks, like you really don't. It doesn't make you cooler. Oh man.
So what you bring to the table is your personality. It has nothing to do with any of that type of stuff.
Are there any socials that y'all would like to plug?
I guess my Snapchat. Is that cool?
Yeah, I will put that in the description.
Matt Bertrand 97. Pretty simple.
Yep.
Put it in general.
Sounds good. All right. Well, to wrap up, thank you so much both for being a part of this episode. And I hope to see y'all on future episodes. I know we have like a list out, Feel free to ask to be added to more if you'd like, and otherwise, we'll figure it out as we go. Thank you so much, whoever listens to this for some unknown reason. Do better things with your life, make better choices. I'm just kidding, but continue to support. Follow Little Dagger Aesthetics on Instagram. Follow my main. And we will see you next time when we are talking about something. I don't even remember the topic for the next episode, but it's fine. We'll figure it out. All right.